Welcome to another episode of Behind the Book. This week from the Moneyline Bar and Book here at the beautiful Park MGM Resort in Las Vegas. Gil Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network, and the star of the show, ladies and gentlemen, Jay Roode, Vice President, Race and Sports, MGM Resorts International. Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. I know you're doing well because a bit of a bounce back for the books this week.
Bit of a bounce back, yeah. It's kind of like the stock market, you know, when you have a huge decline and you have a big, gain in the next couple of days, you never really quite get back what you lost. That's kind of where we were. I'm not complaining. It was good to get some of it back, but, it wasn't as big as the loss. But, we're gonna play them again this week, so that's what it's all about.
2 weeks ago, you called it one of your 10 worst days ever?
It actually elevated to the worst day ever for MGM Resorts. And that's mainly because we've added more jurisdictions, right? So there's more opportunity to lose money. I mean, if it would have been just the Nevada properties, apples to apples, year over year, it would have probably fallen in one of the top 5.
All right.
But Mississippi in particular was pretty ugly for us. A lot of parlays hit. We hit 2 11-teamer parlays that weekend. So yeah, a lot of liability that accumulated quickly.
All right, well, we'll try to do that to Jay again this week, even though we couldn't last week. Football, pro, and college. We'll begin with college right here on Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. Next. Back on Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. It's Gil Alexander from VSiN, along with Jay Roode, of course, Vice President, Race and Sports at MGM Resorts International. Jay, we're doing it from Park MGM, specifically the Moneyline Bar and Book.
Yep.
Construction still happening here. That's the beauty of doing this on location. Building a nightclub upstairs.
Yeah.
We can even hear the hammering from time to time.
Sounds like they're dancing already.
How often would you say per year do we find you at a nightclub?
Oh, per year?
Doing the do.
How about per decade? I think the last nightclub that I actually attended was called Y2K, which tells you how far back it's been since I've been in a club.
Wow. Y2K. Remember that craze, that scare?
Yeah, I was in the back room waiting for the world to end.
Yeah.
We closed early. I was a supervisor at MGM. We closed early. We thought the power was going to go off. There was going to be no water. I knew guys that bought generators and cases of water. I mean, it was nuts.
You were busy cabbage patching.
Yeah, the only thing that happened that night is it was a normal New Year's Eve, and everybody got drunk and had a good time in Vegas.
That's right. Well, it's 2018 now, and all we do is talk about football. That's how we roll. College football this weekend. SEC playing a bunch of patsies, so not a whole bunch of great games. But Yankee Stadium, Jay.
Yeah.
Syracuse, the 12th ranked team in the country, against number 3 ranked Notre Dame. Notre Dame undefeated. They're trying to get through to the end undefeated so they can be in the college football playoff. Probably the best matchup of the week, even though Notre Dame is favored by 11. They have a huge alumni base, Notre Dame does, in New York City.
Who's the home team there?
Syracuse going to travel well, obviously, make the short trip. Notre Dame, I guess the question for you is this. Are they a public team? We talk about the Cubs and the Yankees in baseball, the Red Sox. We talk about the Cowboys in the NFL. Do people bet Notre Dame in the same way?
When they're good, they do. Yeah, I mean, I think the Notre Dame backers come from your cerebral background. They look at the numbers, they study it. They're not blind bettors of on their team. If their team is not doing well and not getting them to the cashier window, they pick and choose their spots. Sometimes it burns them, sometimes it doesn't. But in this particular spot, we were talking earlier before off camera that this game's moved a little bit, but that's midweek. That's sharp money.
Yeah.
That's scary for me because when it comes to game time, we're going to be taking a ton of Notre Dame money, I think, from the public this weekend. So it's going to be a pros and a Joes against me on this particular game. We're going to need the orange for sure to perform well.
Both the pros and the Joes on Notre Dame.
I believe so, yeah. I mean, it's already the pros threw their hat in the ring, and I think the Joes are going to show up on the weekend and press this number even a little bit higher.
All right, you're going to need Dino Babers' Syracuse team. They've only lost 2 games this year, but in the 2 games that Syracuse has lost against Pitt and Clemson, they gave up an average of 275 yards on the ground. When last we saw Notre Dame, they were
but
gaining.
that's skewed with Clemson's one game probably.
It is, but Notre Dame had 400-plus yards on the ground this past week against FSU. I'm just saying,
Right.
Ian Book returns behind center for Notre Dame. When last we saw him, at least when he went out, he was leading college football in completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, 4 picks, 4 touchdowns on the ground as well. So more Notre Dame. This gets higher than the 11 it's at right now, you think?
I think it's got an opportunity to.
Wow. Okay. Jay's going to need Syracuse. Does that mean you should bet Syracuse? I don't know about that. That's up to you. Notre Dame a juggernaut so far. Great game at Yankee Stadium this weekend. Right here on Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. Back at the Moneyline Bar and Book here at the beautiful Park MGM Resort in Las Vegas. It's Gil Alexander and Jay Roode, Vice President, Race and Sports, MGM Resorts International. It's all brought to you by the Play MGM app. The way to bet these days, online, no lines, no physical lines, but bet online on an app. Big menu of different kinds of bets.
All kinds of different bets. You get to bet in-game on the app as well, which is becoming more and more popular. Gives you an opportunity to press your bet, or gives you an opportunity to watch a game that you're uncertain about, which maybe this game that we're talking about could be one that people might want to see a drive or two out of the first 2 teams.
Yeah.
And then make an opinion.
I like it. Titans are at the Colts. That's the game that Jay's referring to. Colts 2-point favorites in this one. Colts coming off a 3-point win over the Jaguars at home. They had to hold on. Andrew Luck 3 touchdown passes in the first half, but then only 2 first downs in the second. Colts do get the win though. Titans, my goodness, not only do they cover, not only do they win outright against the Patriots, but they destroy the Patriots 34-10.
Teaser buster.
Teaser buster.
I mean,
for sure.
that was big for us. I mean, that game last week busted a bunch of teasers, busted a bunch of parlays. That was one of the main catalysts that helped us sort of have a bounce back weekend as bookmakers this week. So they've had a great couple of games.
Yeah.
Monday night with a win against the Cowboys, come home, beat one of the premier teams that everyone thought was marching towards the Super Bowl again. They're at the forefront of most of the public bettors right now, which I think is kind of where they're going to land on this game.
So that's the key, isn't it? The fact that the recency effect really affects the casual bettor. They think about that Titans win over the Patriots. The Colts, who again just sort of held on for victory.
Yeah.
You think the sharps are on the Colts and the public is on the Titans here?
I think the sharps have potential to be on the Colts a little bit. They've got a few things that they need to address. Obviously, a little meltdown in the second half. I think the Sharps probably have a higher propensity to be on the under in this game a little bit, because the Colts did show some teeth in the early going against Jacksonville with their defense. And the Titans, obviously, they're pretty strong on defense as well. So I think this game being priced a little bit above what the average is scoring for an NFL game, I think is an opportunity for some value on the under.
Total is 48.5 in this ball game. Good AFC South, sneaky good AFC South clash between the Titans and the Colts. Titans best in the NFL at preventing opposing offenses from scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Andrew Luck has not been sacked in 4 games, 187 consecutive snaps. Something's got to give.
His shoulders got to love that.
His shoulders got to love that. Colts right now favored by 2. Total 48.5. It's Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. Is Behind the Book from Park MGM, specifically the Moneyline Bar and Book here at Park MGM. Gil Alexander, Jay Roode. They're calling it, and when I say they, I'm just saying
everybody.
The people. They're calling it the match.
The match.
Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods.
Years in the making.
Years in the making. 18 holes of championship golf. The day after Thanksgiving. This is going to be phenomenal. Tiger Woods right now, just to win it, we're talking, minus 210. This is up from, I believe, around minus 140 when it started, maybe even lower.
We open at minus 125.
Minus 125. Now minus 210 on Tiger. Phil Mickelson plus 175 coming back. That's the main bet, but you've got a whole bunch of stuff that you're offering.
A whole bunch of stuff, yeah. I mean, the main bet that I'm going to be sweating on that day is, will there be a hole-in-one? Because we're offering yes on that is at 100 to 1.
Oh!
And
100 to 1.
2 pretty good golfers. I'm going to be sweating every par 3. I will be glued to the action on the par 3s, that is for sure.
Just praying that there's no hole-in-one. What's your limit on a hole? What are you taking on that?
Well, I mean, you got to take a bet to it. We're
if
the
I
MGM.
walked up with the dime, Jay,
I'd take it.
To win 500 large, you'd take that?
Yep.
Really? What's the lowest you can bet?
$5.
$5.
Yeah.
All right. Other offerings, you have alternate lines. Phil minus a stroke and a half at plus 270. Tiger getting a stroke and a half minus 340. Makes sense. He's the favorite. Alternately, Phil getting a stroke and a half at minus 120. Tiger giving a stroke and a half, even money.
Right.
And then there's leader after 9. I love leader after 9 holes because there's obviously a tie option in this. The tie would be plus 500.
Plus 500, yeah. I mean, somebody's going to establish themselves, I think, fairly well. And from what, we've talked to, which will be our guest next week, the general manager of Shadow Creek.
Yes.
He gave me a little insight as to how the course plays, how it lays out. So that's how I, when we were handicapping this, it looks like it might favor Phil a little bit on the front and favor Tiger on the back. So that was kind of what went into that. And,
But if you're telling me that Phil might be favored on the front, I don't know. I might take a flyer on that tie. Maybe. After 9. First player to go 1 up. That's also being offered at MGM. The greatest menu of bets on this match, if you will. And people should know, lest you think Jay is some corporate suit, vice president, big title, that he doesn't get down in the trenches. These lines were made by you and you alone.
No, me, my team, a few other people that had input, but generally
you alone, Jay.
I put them in the we put them in the computer. Yes, me alone, and it, as they say, it rolls downhill. So if there's a hole in one, my phone will probably ring. Yes, and they'll be like, "How come we offered such a high?" I mean, 100 to 1 is really probably not even the greatest of odds. It probably should be between 2 guys playing 18 holes. It probably should be a little bit higher, but we're going to take nothing but yes money, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, who's not going to put $5 on that as just a chance to happen?
Well, I just want to say that I think you've impressed everyone watching more than you ever have before. The fact that you are involved in this line creation, you have researched all 18 championship holes of golf to make these lines. Tiger Woods minus
much
210.
easier than bull riding, though.
Yes. Well, you did a good job on that too. Right. Especially that one bull you were talking about last week. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Pearl Harbor, he retired early.
He did. Minus 210 on Tiger, plus 175 on Phil. The match the day after Thanksgiving. Bet on it on the Play MGM app.
Black Friday for golfers.
Behind the book, rolling on week 11 in the National Football League. Jay, you got me all worked up about golf. I failed to mention about the match also. You have offerings, props that is, on every single hole. And then you got this little Easter egg closest to the pin. Everything on the Play MGM app.
So when you're like on the 5th hole and you want to do close to the pin, there's a little drop-down menu you got to pull out. And we got close to the pin on every 3 and longest drive on every 5.
Man, that is sweet. So golf betting on Friday, then into college football on Saturday, and then more NFL on Sunday.
And in-match wagering as well.
In-match, yes.
Catering to the likes of you.
Yes. Well, thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate the
so
cerebral
you can be in your underwear on your couch the day after Thanksgiving, eating leftovers, betting golf. Doesn't get better than that.
One way you could do it. Chicago hosting Minnesota on Sunday. Vikings, Bears, NFC North. With the Bears favored by 3, the total at 45.5. Mitch Trubisky looked all the critics in the eye last week and he said, I'll show you. 355 yards passing, a quarterback rating, Jay, of 148.3. Wow. That's out of 158.3. The Bears just rolling on at 6-3 on top of that division. And then there's the Minnesota Vikings coming off a bye. This before the season, the Vikings, that is, with Kirk Cousins, everybody said, look, this is a Super Bowl contender. We've kind of forgotten about the Vikings, but they got the rest. Their defense is ridiculous on third downs. What do you think here? This stays on 3 the whole way?
I think this stays on 3 the whole way. I mean, obviously, if the Vikings win this, they're right back in the mix for the division, I think. I think this is going to stay 3. We might, see the VIG go 3 minus 20 on the Bears. I think a lot of people are going to bet the Bears, the home team, the Joes will. I can't quite figure out what I think the Sharp community is going to do on this game. So I think we're going to be big Vikings fans in this particular game. Diggs coming back is good. Hopefully your boy from the Washington Redskins, Cousins, can show up and look like he did the first couple of games. He looked really good out of the gate. Faltered a little bit here and there. He looked really bad against the Saints. I mean, that was ridiculously bad, especially since I needed him so badly. But yeah, we're going to be rooting for the Vikings in this particular game, I think, on our side of the counter.
Kirk Cousins starting for the Vikings. RG3 might be starting for the Ravens this week. If only the Redskins had quarterbacks like that.
Right, absolutely. They would have it made.
Yeah.
They got a pretty good one now.
They got a pretty good one now, kind of. Bears favored by 3 against the Vikings. Bears not as public as the other teams, even though they're the monsters of the Midway. Not a beloved team from the betting community.
No, they are. I mean, especially now that they're in this little, win streak, doing well, getting, like I said, getting people the cashier window is all what it's all about. And, Bears have been doing that more often than not. They've been burning money for a lot of people, too, over the year. Because there's a lot of people that think that the wheels are gonna fall off at some point. But at some point, you are who you are, as Denny Green said one time.
We are what they thought they were, I believe is the exact...
Something like that.
Yeah. Bill Parcells, you are what your record is. You get the idea. Bears favored by 3, 45.5. Coming up, the game of the year, right here on Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. It is Behind the Book from the Moneyline Bar and Book right here at Park MGM. Gil Alexander from VEASAN. Jay Roode, MGM. Vice President, Race and Sports. Man with the title so long, it's unbelievable. But he deserves it, don't you?
If you say so.
Drunk
You
with
love
power.
saying it, I know that.
I do. Drunk with power. Here's the deal, guys. It is the greatest game of the season in terms of how everybody circled this one well before the season started, and certainly after a couple games when you realize the Chiefs and the Rams are offensively explosive. It is the Chiefs and the Rams, but this game was supposed to be in Mexico City at Estadio Azteca. Instead, they look at the field and it is just deemed unplayable. So the NFL, really unprecedented, have to move the venue to Los Angeles. They were smart to at least have that stipulation that for anybody playing an international game, make sure your home stadium, just in case, is available. And in fact, this goes to LA. First question before we even get into the matchup, Jay. For those who made a bet on this game, thinking that the game was in Mexico City, how does MGM treat those bets?
Yeah, so our house rules dictate that if a venue change occurs, that all bets are a refund. Obviously, because now, instead of it being a neutral site game, it's a home game. Even though it's listed as a home game for the Rams, on the schedule, it's a true home game now. So obviously the number's going to move a little bit. We went from I think 1.5 or 1 to now 2.5.
You didn't go through the 3?
No, I think we're.
You did go through the 3.
Oh, we got bet up, but on the adjustment we went to 2.5.
Okay.
We've gotten bet up to 3.5 off of that because home game again. I questioned. Yesterday when I was talking to Jeff Stoneback, our book director of trading, I was like, home field's only worth 2.5, 3 points for Rams. It seemed a little short on the adjustment that everyone went to, but it was, a fluid situation. Everyone's kind of trying to move and figure out what to do now that, they had to move the venue. But so if it stays at the same venue within the week, you have action. But if the venue moves, no action. But you need to be sure that you check with the house rules of who you're playing with because they all have different stipulations.
That's the key. You would think it's obvious that everything gets refunded. It's not how everybody plays it. I know of one book in town, for instance, that says, hey, look, it's being played on the same day, so it doesn't matter where it's being played. They hold the folks to the bet. So always check the house rules wherever you're betting. But that's how you treat it here at MGM, all void.
Yeah, significant condition change.
I would think that's the way everybody should play it, quite frankly. It's a different event now that it's not in the elevation of Mexico City. So anyway, it is the Rams, minus 3.5 now. That's a little surprising to me. I would have thought this is a 3, but the Rams, 9-1 against the Chiefs, 9-1. They're getting the hook here. Isn't that begging? It's not a trap thing, that doesn't exist, but it's sort of begging for Chiefs money, isn't it?
You also got to understand, the Chiefs were preparing to go to Mexico. They had a different travel schedule. Now everything's changed. So they're on the point a little bit more than the Rams are. Rams are sitting at home. So, but the Rams, there's things going on around the Rams too. The wildfires in California that are, upsetting their practice schedule as well. So this is clearly not a normal game on the slate for sure.
Rams went to Colorado Springs actually to practice in elevation to prepare themselves for Mexico City. Now that it's back in Los Angeles, the game that is, the Rams have made the decision to stay in the elevation, probably a good move.
Probably.
And then they'll show up for the game as well right before the weekend. Rams minus 3.5. Are you expecting this now to stay where it is, go to 4, go to 3? I honestly wouldn't have a guess myself. You have some insight on that?
The biggest thing that we haven't even discussed is the total.
The total, the biggest of all time.
The total is going to be what is bet blindly over in this game. I mean,
Even
every single person that comes to the counter is going to have a bet on the Rams-Chiefs total over, probably.
And that number is at 63 and a half.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is not high enough. You can't set this total high enough. I mean,
we can, but we're going to get, a bunch of sharp money back on the under.
Yeah.
If I were to go to 60, step out and go to 66 and a half or something like that, I still would get over money. I mean, that invariably happens. Like at halftime, when I'm trying to get money back a certain way, I'll set a number really high, hoping that I'm going to get money back on the other side. First bet, they lay the big line that I've already put out there.
It.
So it's crazy. But yeah, that's going to be probably by far our biggest liability. We're going to need the under in this game. And then I also think the public is going to be on the Chiefs pretty hard, especially catching the hook at this point.
63 and a half, and it's fascinating what you say. The way that our brains are wired in betting, we're wired for optimism. We're wired for the favorites, and we're wired for overs. At least that's how the casual bettors do things, and there's a lesson in that. Maybe you should try to sort of fight against that instinct. Sharper, generally speaking, unders, and looking for good dog value. I don't know about this one, though. People love the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams. I mean, these teams are the epitome of what you would want to end up in the Super Bowl. I mean, this could be the Super Bowl.
Saints will have something to say about that. Some other teams might, but maybe it is a Super Bowl preview from Los Angeles. Rams, 3.5-point favorites over the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Behind the Book from Park MGM, specifically the beautiful Moneyline Bar and Book. For Jay Roode, Vice President, Race and Sports, MGM Resorts International, Gil Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck with all your bets this weekend.